Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Mega Man 2 on the NES. Mega Man, also known as the Blue Bomber for his Robin's Egg blue armored outfit, first burst onto the video game scene in 1987. While that game established a pattern of the players guiding Mega Man through dangerous linear stages full of robots and deadly traps, each ending in a boss known as a Robot Master that, when defeated, would transfer a portion of its power to Mega Man, it would not be until 1988's Mega Man 2 where that would come into its own and launch the character into stardom, spawning an exceptionally long-running and successful series of games across multiple generations of console and, in time through collections, the PC. But first, a little background as to how we got here. Mega Man takes place in a vague far future, where robots take care of every aspect of life. But one scientist, known as Dr. Wily, decides to start reprogramming a series of construction and soldier robots to cause havoc. To combat this terrorism, a former colleague of Wily called Dr. Light creates a robot named Mega Man, at least in the West. In Japan his name was Rockman, to hunt down and battle these robots, later known as Mavericks, to become the first Maverick Hunter. The first game in the series was, to say the least, unimpressive by a lot of standards, but Capcom gambled on a sequel with improvements. The 8-bit graphics being what they were, Mega Man 2 features much cleaner and brighter graphics than the first game, which by comparison were muddy and slightly fuzzy, and the tweaked challenge to be a little less cheap and a little more balanced, well, relatively anyway. This time our blue hero would face down 8 very themed robot masters with names like Airman, Metal Man, Woodman, Bubble Man, and Heat Man. You could tackle the bosses and their stages in any order, much like the first game. But the sequel's big draw was a subtle guessing game. Which of the robot master's weapons that you would inherit after defeating them would turn the next robot master into scrap the fastest? That's right, the robot masters had weaknesses that could be exploited, if you had the right tool. Thus choosing the correct order would become vital. Some weaknesses were easy to guess. Heat Man's weapon would reduce Woodman to ash, and Bubble Man's weapon would douse Heat Man's flames. But others were not so easy to deduce, such as to why Woodman's weapon would easily defeat Airman, a boss who could also just as easily be defeated by Mega Man's basic arm cannon. So in the days before the internet, rumors began to swirl by word of mouth from player to player. Which was the best order to defeat the stages? What weapon was best against who? Now today, a quick Google search will tell you what an optimal path is, hindsight and aggregate pop culture knowledge being 2020, but again, that was not the case in 1988. That's a great reading of Wikipedia, I hear someone saying. How does this relate to me, and why do I remember this game out of an entire series the best? Well, it was that ability to choose my own path to victory, as well as the guessing game as to what defeated bad guy's weapon did what in a time where that wasn't common. The stages, while they had a few gimmicks such as falling giant gears or disappearing floors requiring split-second decisions for time jumps, was largely interchangeable. It was the bosses that were the main attraction. It was also the post-8 Robot Master defeat surprises, and spoilers ahead for those of you who haven't never played any of these games but want to give them a shot. Dr. Wily's Fortress was available to storm after the main campaign was over, which led to fighting some titanic bosses, along with the unexpected challenge of having to fight all 8 Robot Masters once again. At least this time having the advantage of knowing which weapon to utilize to defeat them again. The final battle would be against Dr. Wily himself, the great nemesis of the series, and this was the greatest question of all. Does Wily have a weakness? There is one more twist to the story, of course. You see, I'd only owned the game for a week at this point, it being just after Christmas, and I decided to bring it with me to a friend's house to play on what would be New Year's Eve. We started playing early in the morning, and worked our way through the game all day and into the evening, a swirl of family friends coming to visit, drink beer, and watch the Times Square ball drop. While the game had a save feature using a pictogram, we were too far in. It was 10 minutes to midnight at this point, and we had just monopolized the living room TV all day, and my friend's family were getting irate that we had entered the final as we entered the final 2 stages, victory mere moments away. It was 5 minutes to midnight when the Robot Masters fell a second time, and we could just not defeat Wily. Desperate, low on lives and energy for all of our weapons, and my friend's dad screaming that he would turn off the goddamn TV on us in a minute, we chose to use bubble lead. And Dr. Wily's health bar melted like the winter snows outside the house. It was 1 minute to midnight, and we had defeated the game under desperate circumstances. We ran around the living room like we'd personally won the Super Bowl. We also quickly turned the Nintendo off in time to see the New Year's tick over into 1989. When you're a kid, sometimes what to adults are small stakes can seem so much larger, and the victories under such stakes can loom so much bigger and set you up for victories against the real stakes of adulthood. Thank you for listening.